Okay, so the Xbox ROG Ally was just announced, or the ROG Ally Xbox Ally was just announced. I don't know the exact name for it. I'm just going to call it the Xbox ROG Ally. Was just announced at Gamescom, or not Gamescom, the Xbox Showcase back in June. I don't know when I'm going to get this video up. I am recording this about a week after that showcase, but with the Doom videos I'm trying to get done and movie reviews I'm trying to get done, this will probably be out like a month after that showcase, the soonest, if not later. And so after seeing that, I thought, you know, it'd be kind of nice to finally get around doing my video on the ROG Ally that I've had in the background here. And yeah, this is it. This is the ROG Ally that I've been playing around with for a couple of months now, and I have some thoughts on this. But that being said, this is an interesting handheld, something that initially I never thought I was going to ever want, and then as I started thinking about it more and more, it's like, yeah, maybe I should get one of these. And now that I've gotten it, I'm kind of thinking this could possibly be the last console I ever get. Let's get into it. Okay, first things first. Before I talk about the Xbox ROG Ally or my ROG Ally, I want to get something out of the way right now. It's been ticking me off, and it's going to sound really petty, but I just want to make this very clear. So many morons on YouTube have been calling this thing the wrong thing. It's not the Asus ROG Ally. It's not the Asus ROG Ally. It's the Asus ROG Ally. That's how you freaking pronounce it, okay? Asus is short for the latter part of the word Pegasus, okay? That's what it's named after. It's the shortened tail end of the word Pegasus. So take Peg out, it's Asus. And then ROG is not with a U or E. It's not Rogue, okay? It's an acronym for Republic of Gamers. So it's ROG, and then it's Ally. The Republic of Gamers Ally. The Asus ROG Ally. That's how you pronounce it. Stop mispronouncing it. The ROG Ally or the ROG Ally. It's so stupid when people try getting clever with the names. One thing I want to point out is that this, in my hands, is an ROG Ally, but it's not the C1 Extreme. This is just a C1. And I cannot tell you how many YouTube videos I've seen online where it's like, oh, don't get the C1. Don't even bother wiping your ass with it. I'm over exaggerating that part a little bit, but like, just everyone says don't even look at it. Don't bother getting it. It's not worth your time. It does nothing for anyone. I would disagree with that. I think the C1 actually has a purpose for a certain amount of people. Now, we're going to go over the people this is not for, and over for the people who this is for, okay? But I will say that the ROG Ally C1 perfectly encapsulates the slogan, a jack of all trades, but master of none. And this really is a jack of all trades. The things this thing can do is mind-blowing, but it doesn't master any of them. And if you go in understanding that one crucial detail, and you're okay with that, you could get a lot of value out of this thing. This thing is kind of like, I would not say this should be your main only gaming experience. This isn't going to replace anything. But as a companion, this thing is like the perfect companion piece to your PC, your console, your other handhelds. This thing is like absolutely pulls its weight for what it can and can't do. But I think it's important to point out who this is for, okay? If you're looking for being able, like, I want something that's going to let me play all the newest games coming out for the rest of this generation, okay? I want basically a PlayStation 5 in the palm of my hands. You're going to be sorely disappointed with this. I don't even know if the C1 Extreme is going to be able to cover every single game for the rest of this console generation. I'm counting generation 9, you know, the Series X, the PlayStation 5, the Nintendo Switch. I consider the Switch 1 part of generation 9, not the Switch 2, but that's an argument for another time. This is not for someone who that's like a big thing. If you're expecting to play Doom the Dark Ages at full settings on this thing, no, not even on the most expensive version of this will you be able to do that. You might be able to get it to run on everything turned up. I haven't tried it yet. I would not recommend getting this to play Doom the Dark Ages. That being said, there is a way you can play Doom the Dark Ages on this. I'll talk about that a little bit. But this is for someone who's kind of a little disenfranchised. Like, look, you're not happy with most games coming out these days. There's a couple, but 90% of the games coming out, getting announced, you're just not really excited about it anymore. I'm kind of one of those people. And so, yeah, the big ones that I can get on consoles, that's fine. But, like, if you're someone who is a console gamer and there's the occasional PC game you see once in a blue moon that you'd really like to try, but just you don't feel like spending thousands of dollars to get a PC gaming rig just to get those, this is going to be perfect for you, okay? Absolutely. If you have a PlayStation 5 and that's like your primary thing, and every now and then you see a PC game, it's like, oh wow, I wish that had come to PlayStation 5. This is going to be great for you. If you're someone who loves retro games, and I mean like you're of the mindset the golden age of gaming was 2000 to 2020, this is for you, okay? You're not going to be able to play everything at max settings, but you're going to be able to play everything between 2000 and 2020, the golden age of gaming. And having one thing that can play all that stuff is really awesome. And then another important thing to point out is with price. So, ROG Allies, there's the ROG Ally X, which is really expensive. The Z1 Extreme, that averages, and I pulled up the price just so I didn't get this wrong, that averages around $650 now. It originally was $700, and the C1, so it was originally was like $700, and the C1 was like $600, I think, and now the prices are $650 for the C1 Extreme and $500 for the C1. Now, I did not pay $500 for this, and I would say for the person interested in this, this is not worth $500. Okay, maybe the C1 Extreme or the ROG Ally X might be worth $500, but this is not worth $500. If you see a C1 for $500, don't get it. I don't care if you want to get it straight from Asus store themselves online. I would not pay $500 for this, and I did not pay $500 for this. What I paid for this was $370, brand new. Now, granted, it was a holiday promotion thing at Sam's Club, but I was just walking by and I saw it. It's like, no, that can't be right. Now, fair warning, I had no idea the difference between C1 and C1 Extreme. I just thought ROG Ally was an ROG Ally. So I assumed it was going to be the most pay for a buck, and they just had it mismarketed. No, it was the lowest quality ROG Ally, but it was $370. And honestly, for $370, this is worth it for that price. So if you could find the ROG Ally for $370, then absolutely it is more than you're going to make up for its shortcomings for that price point. And so definitely you'll want to look for it around that price point. I would say your best time looking for it is around the holidays. Definitely look at Costco, Sam's, Walmart, Target. You should be able to find it around that price during the holidays. But this entire time, you're probably wondering, what the hell can this thing do? Why are you saying that it's a jack of all trades? What can it do? Well, this is a PC gaming handheld. Basically, if there's a game that was exclusive for PC or available on PC, you can play it on this. Because unfortunately, one of the downsides is that this is a digital-only device. There's no physical way of playing a game on this unless you hooked up an external CD-ROM drive, which is possible. You can hook up a external CD-ROM drive to this through a dock and play PC CDs on there, but they haven't made PC CDs for, 10 years? PC is exclusively a digital-only thing now. And while that's unfortunate, it's like, okay, for that, getting a few obscure PC games that never made it to consoles, I could totally see getting this with the understanding that, yeah, there's no physical. And it sucks, but, you know, it's one of the downsides to a PC handheld. There's not any PC handhelds I know of out there that has a CD-ROM on the back or a CD drive on the back. So, kind of like how the PlayStation Portable was. But this could be a standard PC handheld. It also could be a standard PC, believe it or not. You can get a dock, a mouse, a keyboard, and a screen, plug this in, and just do random stuff on your computer like a standard PC. You can check your email, you can go on eBay, Amazon, go on Netflix. I mean, this thing is basically a desktop computer that can fit in your pocket if you had really baggy jeans. Now, I don't know if that'll be the case when that Xbox operating system update comes out this fall. If you get that, will it remove a lot of the PC aspects to Windows? I'm thinking it will. So if you like the idea of getting this and having a PC desktop that you can like do email editing on, this is more powerful than my laptop that I do editing on. So I'm interested in actually seeing if I can edit with this, my videos, which would be kind of funny. But yeah, like if you want this for nothing gaming related, and you find for $350, you just need to get a keyboard. You could get a wireless keyboard. I have one that works with this. Okay, those are dirt cheap. A wireless mouse, those are dirt cheap. And you just need a dock, which I've gotten a dock for this for like $15, HDMI cord, and a TV screen, and voila, you have yourselves a desktop computer that's pretty decently strength for $370. Minus what it costs you for the extras. That's a really affordable way to get a desktop computer for editing, checking emails, and whatnot. A lot of laptops are like $400 to $500. A lot of desktop computers are $500 to $700. So this is a really affordable way of getting a computer you need to without even getting into gaming. So like that alone makes this definitely worth the cost of admission. But the other amazing thing this could do is, with some trial and error, you can emulate on this thing, and you can like emulate all the way to, I think, even 360 and PlayStation 3. I have not tried emulating 360 or PlayStation 3, but I have successfully emulated Dreamcast, Sega Genesis, PlayStation 1. I still haven't gotten a PlayStation 2 to emulate yet. I think I've got a GameCube to emulate on this, and they all work fine. Granted, there's some hiccups, growing pains, like trying to get certain files and certain things. It's not a plug-and-play experience. And I think that's really important to understand if you are getting this solely to emulate older games. But if you are inclined to do emulation, you have done emulation before, and you like the idea of having like all of your favorite classic games in the palm of your hand, this thing's awesome. I've really been enjoying Dreamcast emulation on this thing because the Dreamcast was always a white console, so just having this, and then it just works great. Yeah, the Dreamcast works pretty great on here. And so I've really been enjoying emulation on this. Keep in mind, it takes a lot of trial and error to get emulation up and running. And that will lead into my cons section later on, because this thing's not perfect. There are some serious cons with this thing you need to consider before getting it. And one of them is you can't just pick this up and start playing day one. I'll get into that later. Okay? Right now I'm talking about the things it can do. Another really cool thing you can do with this, you can use this like a Switch and play it handheld, and then you can dock it to a TV screen, pick up a controller, and start playing games on your TV with this. I mean, you can do that. This thing works like a Switch, and it's awesome. I love playing stuff on the TV screen with this. It's really cool. I'm also looking forward to trying out some 3D games on this on my 3D TV hooked up. I mean, this thing, it's a jack of all trades, but master of none. It's not the greatest video game experience docking to the TV, but it can do that. Probably the Switch is more better than this, but it's still awesome that you can do it. It's not the greatest emulation device, but it can emulate. It's not the greatest PC, but it can PC. You get what I mean, where it's a jack of all trades, but a master of none. But as long as it can do those things pretty decently, it doesn't have to be a master of all. Another thing it can do is you can access this port right here, which I have covered with a special like tab thing. You can add on like a GPU thing that boosts its power considerably. The problem, these things are like $1,500 to $2,500 a pop. Like for that price, you can just build your own PC at that point. One day I would like to try and get one, just to be able to play around with improving my PC games I already have on here, but that won't be until like these are long considered retro titles, and those are long considered antiques, because I have no interest in paying, hell, even $200 on one of those things, let alone $1,500. And so if I ever see one for like $100, then sure, I might eventually grab one, and that might be sooner rather than later, but it's cool you can get it. I just think they're woefully overpriced. Another thing this thing does that's really cool is remote play. This thing is insanely awesome when it comes to remote play. Unless you're Sony. So, for starters, I started remote play with Xbox. And, holy hell, this thing has designed like a Windows PC. So, you can get the Xbox app on here. And through the Xbox app, a couple of clicks, you can hook up with your Xbox console, and you can start remote playing your games off your Xbox console. So if you want to desperately play Doom the Dark Ages or ROG Ally Z1, you can through remote play. And you'll want to make sure your Xbox console is wired through the Ethernet. You don't want to do it through Wi-Fi because it's kind of choppy. But doing it through the wired connection, man, does this thing work great off Xbox. Playing stuff remote play on Xbox is so seamless. It barely has any hiccups. It's really awesome. PlayStation, on the other hand, is kind of a nightmare. Yes, you can get the official PlayStation Remote Play app on here, and you can hook up your PlayStation 5 through here, but for some stupid reason, there's this stupid rule on there where it's like, the only way you can play a PlayStation game through the Remote Play app or ROG Ally is if you use an official PlayStation DualSense controller. You can't use you can use these buttons if you're navigating the menu, but once you get in the game, you can't use it because, well, PlayStation, we don't want you using anything but PlayStation products with PlayStation. And it's stupid. So there's a couple other things you could get that lets you do it, but you have to pay for those. And then I got Chai-Key. And Chai-Key is the only free program I could find that lets you remote play PlayStation 5 through the ROG Ally controls. And it takes some trial and error, like getting used to. Finally, I was able to get it to work. And it's like, okay, yeah, this is really cool, being able to play heavy, intensive games off my PlayStation on my ROG Ally. And it makes the PlayStation Portal kind of useless because it has kind of the same screen as the PlayStation Portal. It doesn't have the haptic feedbacks and the special triggers that the Portal does. And yes, this is more expensive than the Portal. But unlike the Portal, you can play this offline. You can play stuff natively off this. You don't have to be always online like the Portal. Yes, the Portal did get an improvement where you could actually play stuff off PlayStation Cloud without PS5. And so now the PlayStation Portal isn't 100% completely unnecessary and useless. There is actually a useful trait to it now. But I would pick an ROG Ally over a PlayStation Portal any day. Even though I can't use the official remote play app through PlayStation, Chai-Key works pretty well, and be able to play my PlayStation 5 and my Xbox Series X off this handheld is really cool. It makes it kind of like the perfect companion device for both my consoles, and it's really cool being able to do that. Now, the screen on this is a 1080p 7-inch IPS display. It's LCD, and it has a 120 refresh rate. But I almost never play this at 1080p because with this, you also have AMD AI upscaling or super resolution upscaling with this that allows you to have the resolution set down to 720p, but then upscales it to make it look like it's 1080p. I always use that so that I can get the most power out of each game, because you want to try and get the most power out of each game, and you want the frame rates to really be up there. And if you're running everything at 1080p, it kind of struggles, especially with the C1. C1 Extreme, not necessarily, but with C1, you need to cut corners wherever you can. And thankfully, with the AMD Super Resolution feature enabled, you can get that 1080p look on this handheld without actually having it set to 1080p. I'll get into some examples down later on in the video. Another crazy thing about the ROG Ally is you kind of never have to pay for games on this. So if you didn't know, with the big PC gaming sites like Epic Games, Steam, GOG, they kind of give away free games from time to time. GOG, very limited. Once in a blue moon, they give away a free game, and it's pretty cool. So a lot of times it's shovelware, but every now and then it's like, oh really, that's free for 24 hours? Okay. And then same with Steam. Steam gives away a lot of shovelware for free, like every couple of weeks. Most of it I don't even look at. But once in a while, it's like, oh, by the way, Borderlands 2 is free for like 48 hours. Or, hey, Half-Life 2 is free for 48 hours. And so they give away free games. But the two big ones is Epic Games and Amazon Prime. So with Epic Games, as long as you have an account with them, you can make a free account with them. Every week on Thursday, typically, they give away at least 2 games. Sometimes it's 1, but most of the time it's 2 games. Every now and then it's 3 games, and then during the holiday season, they give you away like a game every day for like 12 days. It's really awesome. And while some of it is shovelware, a large number of it is not. Huge, massive games I've gone for free off Epic Games, like Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, Death Stranding, Mortal Kombat, Resident Evil, like huge, massive games I've gotten for free off of the Epic Store, just checking in every week, and most of them are playable on this. So, it's like, literally, you can get a free game every week from Epic Game Store that's playable on here. Okay, Sifu, one that I'm getting ready to do a bunch of videos on, I got for free off here. I've seen it for free a couple of times on the Epic Game Store. And then, for those of you that have an Amazon Prime account, there's a little thing known as Amazon Prime Gaming. And you can go to their site, or you can go to their app, and you even do it on here, and as long as you have an Amazon Prime account, you get access to like somewhere between 10 to like 20 video games every month. And some of these are shovelware, yes, but a lot of huge heavy hitters like The Evil Within, Thief, Star Wars, hell, sometimes you get big ones like Wolfenstein, Doom. I got Doom Eternal for free off of Amazon Prime for PC only. Sometimes they give you some Xbox codes, but for the most part, it's all PC. And as now, granted, Amazon Prime, you gotta pay a monthly subscription, but usually a lot of people have Amazon Prime for Amazon Video and for the shopping, and so if you already have one of those, a lot of people do, you get access to a ton of games for free. I have a library of over 300 PC games, only 10 of which I paid for at dirt cheap prices. Most of them I got for free because of those methods I just explained. So yeah, if you are on a really tight budget and you don't want to pay a ton for games, right now, start collecting PC games from those sites. And by the time you finally get an ROG Ally, you have a massive collection of games to play from. The question isn't what am I going to play, what am I going to install first? That's going to be the real question. Now, it's time to kind of get into some of the negatives I have with this. So one, I don't like gaming on PC. One of the reasons is system requirements. Now, I don't really have to worry about that right now, but eventually it's going to come into play. There's going to be some PC game I'm really excited about, and I look up the system requirements, and it's not going to match this. And they usually don't tell you the system requirements till a month before the game comes out. So, when I started gaming, I was really into PC, and that always gut punched me. Whenever I saw a game that got announced, I was super excited for it. I'm like, please, please, please match my system requirements. And it's like, nope, won't work. Another thing I don't like about PC gaming is just you always run into bugs that don't like starting the game. It's like, this can't start because of this DLC file. And it's like, what is that? You have to go searching for what that file is. It's like, yeah, it's just a clock patch or something that never implemented right, and it's just, there's all this like frustration with PC games. That's one of the reasons why I like console. You just pop in the disc and it will play it. And PC, sometimes it's like, hey, this may not play because of some stupid little line of commas that are preventing this from launching. When I got Fallout 3 for the first time, it was 6 months before I could play it. And that stuff still happens with this. There's certain retro games they do not like playing on this. And it's not because they're too demanding, it's just because of some stupid little code with that game. Like Dawn of War, Warhammer 40k Dawn of War. For the life of me, I still have not been able to get the first one to launch on this. The second one plays just fine on this. And that's what I mean, where like, I'm not nuts about PC gaming. Another downside to this is that not every game works with the built-in controllers. Okay, some of the old retro games, they require a mouse and keyboard, and the ROG does a good job trying to have a system that allows you to make it work, where it's like, hey, They have this like system where it's like it'll adapt the keyboards into buttons, but it's still really rough. You have to tweak it, and it's just some games it just doesn't work. And there's some games like you have to have the keyboard while using these buttons, so you can't pull up the in-screen keyboard as well. And so just it's a case-by-case basis, and it's not a problem so big that it's going to make you go, hell no, I'm not getting one of these. Just keep in mind, not everything is going to play fine on here. One thing that does help is on GOG. They do have a thing on the site telling you if it's controller compatible, and usually if a game says it's controller compatible, you're not going to have too much trouble getting this to work. But sometimes you get old retro game and it's like, yeah, no, you're going to have to really bust your ass to make this work on the ROG Ally. Not because of graphics or anything, just getting the controller layout to work just right. Another thing I don't like about the ROG is how loud the turbo mode gets. You have 3 fan operating presets. There's silent mode, there's performance mode, and then there's turbo mode. Silence runs at like 10 watts an hour, I think, or 10 watts. I don't know what the time range is, but it's like at 10 watts, silent mode, really quiet. Not everything works though. Like real small games, that's about it. Performance mode is what I usually leave it on. Generally, like everything kind of works on performance mode with some exceptions. And if you really try to listen, you can kind of hear the fan. But then there's turbo mode, when you need that extra amount of power. The problem, you can hear turbo mode. It sounds like this thing is going to take off to the stars, okay? It feels like a jet engine's taking off when you put turbo mode in. And I wish turbo mode was just a little bit quieter. Another thing I do and don't like is the cardboard stand that comes with the ROG Ally. Basically, when you get this, it comes with the charger and then this stand that helps prop it up. And seriously, for the money, you couldn't have given us like something a little bit nicer than a cardboard cutout. That being said, this is like one of the thickest cardboard cutouts I've ever seen. I don't feel like I could break this that easy, and it's really like thick and meaty, so I'm equally as offended by it as I am impressed by it, just because it shouldn't be this sturdy, but at the same time it's made out of cardboard, so it sucks, but it also impresses me. It's weird. One of the biggest issues I have with this thing is the battery. The battery is a joke. It's a 40-watt battery, and just flipping around here, not playing video games on performance mode, just looking online and just flipping through the games I have, I get maybe an hour of gameplay with this. With turbo mode enabled, I get maybe 40 minutes to 30 minutes of gameplay on this. It's really bad, and I only really use the main charger to charge this, and it takes a while to charge it back up. I mean, probably about 30 minutes to charge this thing up. And so, yeah, while this is portable, it's not that portable. Now, I do plan on getting a back cover that does have a strap to hold a portable battery, so that I can put additional batteries on this and extend its lifetime. And I will do a video testing different batteries once I have that. I just don't have that cover yet. But yeah, the battery is terrible with this. There's a couple of aftermarket batteries you can get for this that expands it up to like a 75-watt battery. And that sounds awesome until you realize every single one of those from every single company requires you to cut plastic on the face shell. And if you don't know, this thing, it's like apparently the screen is built into the face shell. So if the screen gets cracked, the only way you're getting this fixed is sending it into the factory. You cannot replace the screen yourself. And I'm not comfortable cutting plastic off of the face shell. The back shell you can replace easily, but the face shell you cannot. And I guess they made it that way, unfortunately. The Steam Deck doesn't have this issue. The Steam Deck, you can take the screen out of the face shell. The Steam Deck is designed for you to get your hands and fingers into it. And ROG, Asus, they don't want you touching this at all. So that sucks. Another thing I don't like is how hot this thing gets. This thing reaches 80 degrees Celsius internally, and that doesn't sound too bad, but when you put it in Fahrenheit, that's like 160 degrees Fahrenheit that this thing gets internally. And I don't like how hot this thing gets. I plan on getting one of those special backs that reduces the temperature by 10 degrees Celsius, so drop it to 70 degrees Celsius, which I'd be a lot more comfortable with. And I do intend on getting one of those backs, and I do intend on getting some heat sinks on the solid state drive, because the solid state drive doesn't have a heat sink on it, and like those things get hot. And so I mean, I haven't done that much like serious gaming on here just because I want to upgrade this so that it's better cooled, because I would like to get a larger hard drive in here, because the hard drive is very small. It's only 512 gigabytes. That thing filled up so quick. It filled up in like a day. I have so many games for PC, I can't play them because I don't have a big enough hard drive. So I do plan on expanding the hard drive at some point. And then you have the SD card slot. One, it's a little problematic getting it to read games off of there. And yes, I have a decent card in there. And secondly, this slot, especially on this model, is notorious for overheating the SD card and burning out the card itself. Now, if you have a 32 gig card, that's not too bad. If you have a 1 terabyte card that costs you $100, that's going to be an issue. I would not recommend putting a 1 terabyte card in here until you know that you've gotten the temperatures down low enough, or as long as you know that you're not doing too much taxation on that card, because you're going to hate it if you lose that 1 terabyte micro SD card. So I would recommend you do some like work into making sure this isn't going to burn out your SD card. Another thing that you should know is that it takes a couple of days to get this thing up and running. You can't just take it out of the box and start playing. This thing requires all kinds of updates. All kinds of updates. The Armory Crate requires massive updates. The Windows requires massive updates. I mean, it took me like 2 to 3 days to finally get this up and running before I could actually start playing a video game on here. You heard me right, 2 to 3 days. That's a lot. But it's important to know that. And maybe with the new Xbox OS system that's coming out this fall, maybe it won't cost you that much time after this. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Now, I tested a couple of games on here, and one of the qualifications I want to run through here was, one, I want to do different games with different time hours just to see what I could do, give you an idea what kind of games you can play on here. And my limit was it needs to be above 30 frames per second. It preferred if it was above 60 frames per second. So if I could get above 60, it's aces. It's ROG's deck verified. If it's under 30, probably not going to have a great time playing it. Above 30, you can muster by. So one of the first games I tested out here was one of the most demanding ones I could find. Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. Don't worry, I did not spend money on that. I did not waste money on that piece of shit game. I actually got it for free off of Epic Games Store. And the reason why I chose that was because, one, it is a very taxing game for PC. It's an open world that's a modern day game. And yeah, even though it doesn't look as good as Arkham Knight, it's very taxing on modern systems because of the co-op features and whatnot. So I got up and running on here, and it runs. I unfortunately don't have any footage of this. It was like a 190 gig sized game. It was ridiculously massive, and I was able to get a run, but I only could get like 40 frames per second out of it. During the intensive scenes, it dropped to like 35, 30 frames, one time 25 frames per second. And I had a couple of things to try and smooth it out. If you shut off everything, this thing looks like crap. I had a couple of things to make it at least look decent, with most everything shut off, and I was able to maintain like that 40 frames comp, 30 frames during intensive scenes. So, you know, that did kind of pass, but it wasn't running that great. The other thing I tried here was the Callisto protocol. And man, did this thing struggle during the benchmark test. It dropped out to like 14 frames a second during the benchmark test. Playing the game, I was able to get around 45 frames a second with a lot of stuff turned off, but a couple things still left on, and it was running pretty decently well. Granted, if you have Callisto Protocol on consoles, I would just play it there, but it is kind of cool playing Callisto Protocol on a portable handheld, you know, walking around. And so if you want that portable experience with Callisto Protocol, this can kind of do it. Another thing I tried out was all the Dooms. Like, every Doom except the Dark Ages can play on here. And I do have Doom on here. The most demanding one is Doom Doom Eternal. And unfortunately, I couldn't get ray tracing to work properly on here without turning off like everything else. So I had to turn off ray tracing. But by turning off ray tracing, I was able to have a lot of other stuff enabled for this. And it does look really good portably on the ROG Ally. Granted, I had to sacrifice ray tracing. I've noticed that ray tracing really just, you can use it, but you have to turn off everything else to be able to get ray tracing to work. So I would not say this is a device that does ray tracing well. It can do ray tracing, it doesn't do it well. And if you're willing to play Doom Eternal without ray tracing, you can get Doom Eternal running very, very nicely on this handheld. I was averaging around 50 frames a second fighting enemies. It's not 60, but hey, you're playing it portably. The other Doom games, like the Doom 2016, I was able to manage around 60 frames a second. It's on high settings, but not ultra high. I wasn't able to max everything out, but I was able to, at the very least, run it on high settings, and it looks really great on the portable handheld. I would say it probably looks better than the Switch version does. So it's probably the best way to play Doom 2016 portably. The next one I tried was Sifu. And Sifu, again, I wasn't able to maintain this frame rate with everything maxed out. But on high settings with only a couple of things turned off, I was able to maintain 70 to 80 frames per second. And man, did this game look nice on the handheld, running at 70 to 80 frames per second. I never got those frames on my PlayStation 5 version. And so, honestly, the thing shut off. I didn't feel it detracted anything from the game. The game looks amazing on the ROG Ally. And plus, you can do mods. So, like, that alone is worth the reduction in a couple of graphical settings to make this run at 60 to 70 to 80 frames per second. The next thing I tried was Crysis Warzone, a little bit of an older game, but it's like, hey, can I run Crysis? Yes, this can run Crysis. Not on max settings though. Like a game from 2011. Now, it can run it on high settings. Like, this thing looks great running Crysis on here. And on high settings, it runs great. It's doing 70 to 80 frames per second. I just couldn't have every single setting enabled. And you might be detecting a little bit of a theme here. You can run these games, just not all at max. But you can run a lot of them on high, especially games older than 2024. You can run a lot of these games on high settings, and you're going to have a really great experience. And then I went really old school, and I played Alien vs. Predator Gold on max settings, 120 frames per second, and man, did that thing look like it was on fast forward. I had to kick it down to 60 frames per second just so I could actually enjoy the game, but it runs great. And so, yeah, that was my benchmark test on the games that ran here. You're going to basically be able to play any game up to like 2024 before you have to really start cutting down on graphics. And anything coming out this year, you're gonna have to really play on low settings unless it has ray tracing. Probably you're not going to be able to play stuff that requires ray tracing as a minimum system requirement. I haven't gotten a game yet for free that does require it. I will be able to, but just don't expect it, okay? As long as it's not requiring ray tracing as a minimum requirement, you could probably play it on the lowest settings. So in the end, I would say that this is like the perfect companion device for any console gamer. If you're a PC gamer, maybe not as much, especially if you're planning this being your only type of PC gaming, then you might want to go with a more powerful device. But if you're a console gamer and you just want something to play those few obscure PC games you haven't been able to play because it never was ported to console, and you just want something to play a couple of PC games and you want something to complement your consoles, the ROG Ally Z1 is a wonderful device to grab, especially if you can get around the $370 price tag range. But yeah, that's been my experience with the ROG Ally Z1. If you guys have any of these, what did you guys think? Do you guys enjoy this? Are you interested in getting one of these now after some of the features I've told you about? Definitely, this is a great remote play device. Maybe you guys might be interested in doing some remote play with this now. Say off in the comments down below, are you going to get one of these? Let me know if you're going to wait till the Xbox One comes out, or are you interested in the Xbox One? Maybe you're hoping that PlayStation comes out with one. Say off in the comments down below. My name's Christopher Cobb with 11 Hour Reviews, and that will be all for today.